Hello, everyone. Today we are hosting Cecile Popp. I'm excited to have her here on our channel, and she's going to focus on some important points in learning English. Hello, Cecile. How are you?
Oh, there we go. My mic was muted.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm really excited to be talking today with you. I really thank you for coming, for accepting my invitation, and thank you for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
Cecile, before going on with our topic, could you please talk about yourself? Could you please introduce yourself to my viewers? Many of my viewers know you from the university students in our school. But for those who don't know you, please introduce shortly yourself. The mic is yours.
All right. Well, I'm from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Canada with a German father, and part of my childhood was spent in Germany. So I feel like I have two identities in some ways. And I'm a teacher. Before I moved to Turkey, I taught ESL in Canada. I also worked one-on-one with students, elementary, middle, and high school age students who had learning exceptionalities.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in Turkey for 14 years.
14 years.
And yeah.
Wow.
I taught at Tarsus American for 3 years. I taught at Robert College in Istanbul for 7 years. And now we work together at the state, one of the two state universities here in Adana.
Mm-hmm. Many people think that our university is a private one, but it's a state university. I'm talking about Adana Alparslan Turkish Science and Technology University. Yes, Cecile, thank you. I know you have also websites. You are a YouTuber as well. We asked my viewers some questions about what to ask you, what the topic should be actually. And could you talk about your channel a little bit? From Canada to Adana, I'm excited to follow your channel as well. A little bit.
Thank you. Of course, I'd be happy to. So yes, as you said, my channel is called From Canada to Adana. Mm-hmm. And it focuses really on my life here in Adana, specifically things like, the abundance of fresh food and the Turkish cuisine. I have also done a series of interviews with other expats, not only in Turkey, but in other countries. I'm interested in some of the themes of identity and belonging, making friends, raising multilingual children, things like that.
Having said that, you've been to Germany, you've been to many countries. I know that we heard that. How many languages do you know?
So I speak 4 languages.
Wow.
Turkish being my newest one. I also learned French in school growing up in Canada, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course English and German. Mm-hmm.
So you really experienced in learning English. But millions of people graduate from schools in Turkey. We have loads of English classes at both state schools and private schools. But the question is always the same. Hocam, what are we going to do with English? Of course, there are some students who are successful English learners who come to our university, for example, and able to pass the proficiency exam, but they are a minority. So there's a problem, people can't learn English in Turkey. Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any important points to dwell on for our viewers, for the learners of English in Turkey?
Yes, well, I will certainly try. It is the $1 million question, definitely. Why does everybody study English in Turkey, but yet so few people speak English? And you go to countries in Europe and everybody speaks English beautifully. I mean, regardless of occupation. So, I mean, again, I'm going to speak very, very generally because, of course, English instruction varies across the country. But I think in many places, unfortunately, English is taught from a strictly grammar perspective. So certainly anyone that's gone through a state school, also outside of the bigger cities in Turkey, probably can relate firsthand to what I'm talking about. So teachers teaching how to conjugate verbs, tenses, a little bit of vocabulary, but there's no real chance for speaking, listening, students producing their own constructions in English. And part of that is, of course, that the school schedule gives students just a few hours of English a week. And then part of that, I think, is probably the teacher's own education, how to teach English. They're probably teaching English exactly how they were taught to teach English.
Yes.
English instruction seems to be better in the private schools. Certainly there's more emphasis placed on it. My kids who are in, I have a preschool child, a boy in senior kindergarten. I have one in grade 4, one in grade 5, so elementary and middle school. And they're getting something like 15 hours a week of English. Now, they're native speakers, of course, being my children, but just that gives me, a window into private school in Adana and how they're teaching English. And there's a lot of emphasis on production and reading stories and writing paragraphs and things like that. So to me, that sort of takes the instruction and the learning to the next level. It's definitely an improvement. It in some way mimics the way a native speaker would learn their own language in an elementary classroom, in a middle school classroom, in a language arts course. So for example, in Turkey, in a Turkish classroom, kids are learning synonyms, kids are learning, they're learning some grammar, they're learning paragraph writing, they're reading. So I think that's one thing. In our particular circumstance, we're at the State University in Adana. My students come from state school cities. I don't know if you agree or...
Yeah, most of the students come from state schools, state high schools.
Yeah, and they're coming from, as far away as Hatay, Gaziantep, but we're not getting a lot of students from Izmir, Ankara, Istanbul.
That's right.
And so typically, what I see our students struggle with is, and this is sort of one of my tips for how to maybe be a more successful English learner, is they don't really know how to learn the language.
Wow.
So now that they are 19, 20, 21 years old, they're adults, they're young adults, and I think they can look at themselves as learners from the outside. It gets a bit meta, but they don't just have to be students that we as teachers are trying to guide or even trick into learning the language kind of almost by osmosis, the way a native speaker would learn their language. We can make them aware of their own learning. And that includes things like, what is their preferred learning style?
Yes. First, can we say tip 1 is learn to learn?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and I mean, there's different aspects to that, but it could be as basic as how do I learn vocabulary?
Yes.
And there are many different ways to learn vocabulary. When I was a school girl in Canada learning French, I did a lot of writing words out 5 times, 10 times. It's not the most fun, but it worked for me because I'm a total language nerd. But there are so many different ways to do that, especially with modern technology and educational technology tools. And I think we as teachers need to invest some time at the beginning of each semester introducing our students to different ways to learn. So different ways to learn vocabulary, different ways to practice writing, different ways to improve reading, and even breaking that down into the different skills. So with reading, there's reading for fluency, reading for accuracy, reading for understanding, you know, all those different things. And as soon as our students come across a method that really works for them, then they can apply that throughout the semester. I feel that a lot of our students show up for class and they feel that that's enough. They feel they will walk away from class having heard, in some cases, a native speaker. Our students are very lucky because there are a lot of non-Turkish teachers.
I'm not sure about the number, 5 or 6.
Well, I think there's 9 of us. I think there are 9 foreign teachers right now.
We're getting a lot.
So, and even our Turkish teachers, doesn't matter that they're not foreign. I mean, look at you, your English is wonderful.
Thank you.
I think our students sometimes think just showing up for class for, 24 hours a week is enough. But I would argue that it's not enough. They need to really be, I mean, their job in the prep year, in the hazırlık year, is to learn English. So I would say outside of class, they need to be spending almost as much time practicing, reinforcing. And so that leads me maybe to my second strategy.
Let's note it down. It's important.
I mean, it's a combination of maybe finding something that is realistic and relevant, but also fun. So not all aspects of learning the language are going to be fun. You have to, you know, understand conditionals, and that sometimes you just have to sit and figure it out like a math problem. But let's say you want to be an engineer and you really are interested in aerospace engineering, and you love it so much that in your free time, you watch YouTube videos, you read science magazines. Those are some of the things that these students could be doing in English. So that's just one example, but spending your time doing things you enjoy anyway, but doing them in English. Now, we're in Turkey, we're in Adana. It's not like you can just, you know, I was lucky in Turkey learning Turkish. I was 100% surrounded by Turkish. So going
what about French? You learned French in Canada. Did you have any chance to practice your French outside classroom?
Not so much, but I was lucky because my mother is actually Belgian. And so both my parents speak excellent French. And when I was very young living in Germany, we spent our summer vacations in Belgium with my mother's relatives. So I had French in my ear. I was definitely not fluent, but there was some kind of, there was something in a part of my... You
understand but can't speak?
Yeah, I mean, my experience learning French is probably the closest to what our students are experiencing learning a foreign language, because I did learn it very much in a classroom setting, not in a very organic setting. But for our students here in Turkey struggling to learn English, I mean, another example I could give is, let's say a student loves exercise. It's probably difficult to find a foreigner who's a trainer here in Adana, but you never know, you could try. But certainly on YouTube, there are free exercise videos in English. You can also hire personal trainers online. It costs a little bit of money. And, you know, again, if you're a student, that might not be something you can afford, especially in a,
you know, we already pay a lot of money for their signage, you know, language schools. So
exactly.
When we compare it, it's profitable, I suppose.
I mean, just to give examples, there's free online resources. There are paid online resources. Hiring a personal trainer through Zoom or Skype. And then there are in-person things. But again, just an example, if you love working out, try to do that in English. If you love aerospace engineering, see if you can whatever videos or magazines you're reading or newspaper articles. See if you can do that in English. So that's where, again, I return to the keywords relevant, realistic, but also enjoyable, fun.
So we can make it fun in a way, right? If realistic things might be fun, or relevant things might be turned into fun by the students. It depends on your strategy. You can turn everything or anything into fun.
But of course, I think fun also is very relative. So if you're motivated because of your career goals or of your passion, then something becomes more fun, right?
Yes, that's right. And what's tip 3? What can you say about that?
Well, I don't want to overwhelm people. I mean, I think those maybe are 2 general guiding principles. And if someone is brand new to learning English or wants to, revamp their English, maybe that's enough. But as far as, something maybe more specific, looking just for opportunities. A lot of my students follow me on social media. They're commenting on my posts on Instagram. They're sending me DMs. They're watching my YouTube videos. And that is that's all in English, right? I don't do any social media in Turkish.
By the way, I'm going to share your links under this video or in the explanation part or comments section. They'll be able to find you on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it would be interesting I hope that it's interesting for locals here in Adana or elsewhere in Turkey to learn about their own city or country through a foreigner's eyes.
Yeah. That's the interesting part, actually. Learning your own city and own country from a foreigner's point of view.
Yeah. I don't talk specifically about language learning. I don't talk about aerospace engineering. But again, it's something, right? Like I've been thinking, I really should brush up my French. It's very rusty. I haven't used it for so long. So what's the first thing I do? I watch a daily French newscast for 10 minutes on YouTube, or I listen to a podcast. Just little things to get it in my ear, revive, wake up forgotten vocabulary.
What's your motivation? Are you going to use French somewhere or in your job?
No, not at all. I'm just, like I said, I'm just a nerd. I love languages. It's fun for me. Sometimes if I'm, our semester starts in a few weeks and my kids are finally sort of into their online school routine. So I'm a bit less busy this week and next week than I otherwise am. And I just thought, okay, it's the perfect time to try something new.
And your first tip was learning to learn. You learned how to learn. You know yourself first, and you made things relevant. The second tip, relevant to your environment and motivation, fun, sort of maybe brainstorming or brain bodybuilding in a way. So people can find different ways for themselves to have a reason to learn a language or to learn English specifically in our case. Okay, thank you very much, Cecile. I was really happy to host you here. Maybe in the future, we can be together again on our channel if you're interested too. If our viewers have other questions too. Do you have any final remarks?
No, I wish everybody luck. We're here in late September 2020. So everybody who's about to start a new semester in new and strange ways online, I just wish everyone luck. I hope everybody can be flexible and open-minded and approach the inevitable problems with a sense of playfulness. We as teachers will have technical problems, our students will have technical problems, and but if we remember that every problem is temporary and can be figured out or solved or moved through, then hopefully this period of time we'll get through it without too much anxiety or stress.
Hopefully. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Kenan. Take care. Bye.
You too.